He said, I wrote 1 million hadith with my hand. 1 million hadith, each one 50 times. Each one I wrote it 50 times. Yahya ibn Ma'een is saying this. When he died in Medina, for the first time they brought out the table that the messenger was washed with, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and they washed the body of Yahya ibn Ma'een on the same place as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Let me mention who Yahya ibn Ma'een is. Please take this down and look at who this great Imam is. Yahya ibn Ma'een, he was born when the year was 158, and he was raised in Baghdad. He started to write hadith from the age of 10. He said, from the age of 10 until the age I am in now, I have been writing the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 10. He was writing hadith. What are our 10-year-olds doing? We actually consider our 10-year-olds to be what? Hey, little baby man, don't worry. You'll get there inshallah. 10, Yahya ibn Ma'een was writing hadith. Rather, his father, Yahya ibn Ma'een, his father, was min nubala al-kuttab. His father was a scribe. His father was a writer. An apple doesn't fall far from a tree. Like father, like son. Yahya's father was a writer for Abdul Malik ibn Malik al-Jarrah. He was a writer for him. Yahya ibn Ma'een's dad left behind for him 1 million dirham. 1 million dirham. Dirham is made out of fidda, silver. 1 million. He's a millionaire. The dirham is valuable money. I tried to calculate it, but I forgot to finish off the calculation. But 1 million dirham his father left it for him. You know what he said? He said, فَأَنْفَقْتُ كُلَّهَا. All of that 1 million dirham, I spent it all in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every single one of it. Yahya ibn Ma'een, rahimahullah ta'ala. The scholars that took hadith from him was Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Ahmad sat down and used to write hadith from Yahya ibn Ma'een. Imam al-Bukhari used to write from him. Muslim wrote from him. Abu Dawood, Abbas al-Duriyu, who is called Rawiya to madhabihi, the one who spread the madhab of Yahya ibn Ma'een. Abu Zur'at al-Razi, Abu Hatim al-Razi, Uthman ibn Sa'id al-Darimi, Abu Ya'la al-Musiri, all of these they wrote from him. This is not the point. The point I want to come to is, look what Yahya ibn Ma'een said. He said, I wrote 1 million hadith with my hand. Yahya ibn Ma'een saying this. كتبت ألف حديث. 1 million hadith. Each one 50 times. Each one I wrote it 50 times. Yahya ibn Ma'een is saying this. He reached a level in dikka, how detailed and how sharp he was, that Imam Ahmad said, كل حديث, every hadith, لا يعرفه يحيى بن معين, that Yahya ibn Ma'een doesn't know, فليس بحديث, it's not a hadith. If Yahya says, I don't know this hadith, consider it to be fabricated or made up. Who's saying this? Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. Ahmad ibn Hanbal went on to say, Yahya ibn Ma'een, Yahya ibn Ma'een, رَجُلٌ خَلَقَهُ اللَّهِ. This is a man Allah created him. For what purpose? Allah brought Yahya ibn Ma'een into this world just to serve the hadith. That was his purpose in this dunya. Yahya will cleanse the hadith from the liars, those who will try to lie about the Prophet. He made it his job. He made it his job to say, you're a liar, the Prophet didn't say this. Rahimahullah ta'ala. To defend the religion. Now comes the most powerful part of Yahya ibn Ma'een's life. Please ponder here. Yahya ibn Ma'een, what did I just say his role was? To defend the Prophet's hadith. When the year was 233 Hijriya, Yahya ibn Ma'een, he made the decision to go to Mecca for Hajj. He said, that year I'm going to go Hajj. And when he went to Hajj, he took the route of Medina. He went through the miqat of the people of Medina, Dhul Hulayfa. And he took that road to go to Mecca. Yahya ibn Ma'een, rahimahullah ta'ala. And when he came back from Hajj, he went to what? To Mecca, and then from where he was from Iraq. He wanted to go through Mecca. When he reached Mecca, an illness struck him, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he became sick severely and he died. When he died, in Medina for the first time they brought out the sarir or the the table that the messenger was washed with, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and they washed the body of Yahya ibn Ma'een on the same place as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the people kept saying, when his body was being washed, Yahya ibn Ma'een, this man used to deflect lies against the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And today he has sat in the place of the Prophet's body when he died. Anyone who spent his life doing something, he will most likely die in that way, wallah. And anyone who dies in a particular way will be resurrected the day of judgment in that way. That's something we all have to remember. What we do in this world for this religion and the sacrifice that we give to this deen will without a shadow of a doubt become, inshallah ta'ala, the way that we will die. And if we die in that way, we'll be resurrected the day of judgment in that way. We today think about the money that we need to make and the risk that we need to come with. Brothers, your risk and your money is in the hands of Allah. Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا. There is no person on this earth except your rizq is in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Your rizq is in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jalla. My shaykh told me, he said to me that there was a man once in Somalia. He owned a shop, and what he did was, when at night the shop will be closed, the owner who owned the shop, when the workers would leave, he would stay to count how much money was made and the profit and the loss. He would busy himself with that. So one day he was in the shop and he was counting the money, and he heard the snoring of a man, snoring heavily. And so he came out and he saw that it was one of his employees sleeping in front of the shop, snoring in a deep sleep, relaxed. So he woke him up. He said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I've been sleeping here. There's no point in me going home and coming back in the morning and spending the money on my travel. So I sleep here. And I get up for work and I come to work from here." The owner was shocked, baffled. He said, "I'm the one who owns this place. I'm the one who gives this man provision, give him money, his monthly bills. I'm the one who gives it to him. And he's less stressed than I am, sleeping, lying down, enjoying himself. I'm here stressed, counting the money. The calculation doesn't meet up. What happened to this?" The difference is, richness is not how much money you have, how much wealth that you have, or how much is in your bank. Wallahi, richness is ghina nafs, if you're rich inside. It's what you have inside, and it is what is with you. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, the Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, مَا مَلَأَ آدَمِيٌّ وِعَاءً شَرًّا مِنْ بَطْنٍ بِحَسْبِ ابْنِ آدَمِ بِحَسْبِ ابْنِ آدَمَ أُكَلَاتٌ يُقِمْنَ صُلْبَهِ. This stomach of yours, nothing can fill you. There is not a vessel that you fill worse than your stomach. It's the worst place to fill. Then the Prophet said, enough for you to put into your stomach is that which can straighten your back. All you need to put in your stomach is the amount that you can straighten your back. Because remember, when you become hungry, what happens to you? The person carves. That's what happens to you, right? Isn't that what happens? If hunger hits you, the person, it's like get a hunchback. So, all you need from this dunya is to straighten your back. The poet, he said, الجوع يطرد بالرغيف اليابس فعلى ما تقتر حسرتي ووساوسي. You can remove hunger with a dry bread. So why are you stressed? فعلى ما تقتر حسرتي ووساوسي. Why are you whispering to yourself? Why are you so stressed? If I ate today a dry bread and water, and you had a nice meal, both of us are the same. No one knows. We look the same, true or false? So why are you so stressed? Your provision was written for you before you came into existence. The thing that you need to focus on is your time, and the way to benefit from your time. One other story that I didn't mention, that I think is worth mentioning before Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, is the great grammarian Tha'lab al-Nahwi rahimahullah. This one shocked me as well. You know what the cause of his death was? The cause of his death was he was reading a book and he fell into a ditch and he died from it. He had a book in his hand and he was walking. And he was walking, and he was walking, and he was walking, and he fell into a ditch. And that was the cause of his death. The great grammarian doesn't want to waste his time. Rahimahumullah. Let me go to Ibn Jarir al-Tabari rahimahullah. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, he came to his students one day. He came to his students one day, and Aba Ja'far al-Tabari, Aba Ja'far al-Tabari, he said to his students, he said, are you guys enthusiastic? How would you guys feel if a tafsir of the Quran was written? Ibn Jarir al-Tabari saying this to his students. What do you guys think if I was to write a tafsir? They said to him, Kam yakunu qadru? How big is it going to be? What's the length of this tafsir book? He said, 30,000 waraqa. 30,000 pages. That's my plan. What do you guys think? Allah, these guys, they had high aspirations. 30,000. And then they said to him, before it can be completed, people's lives will go. Meaning, if you wrote that, people won't even be able to finish reading it. They will die before they can read it. فاختصره, he summarized it. في 3,000 ورقة, to 3,000 pages. And his tafsir today is considered to be the biggest tafsir book. Tafsir Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, or one of the biggest tafsir books. It's about 12 or 13 volumes. That's less. How many? He did it 3,000 pages, right? How much was his plan in the beginning? 30,000. He then said to his students, okay, maybe I'll ask you guys another question. أتنشطون لتاريخ العالم? I'm going to write history. من آدم, from the time of Nabi Adam, إلى وقتنا هذا, till this time. Hey, what do you guys think? They said, Kam qadru. How big is it going to be? How lengthy is it going to be? He said, 30,000. And then they said to him the same thing that they said. Before anyone can finish it, people's lives will come to an end. And then he summarized it into 3,000 pages. Again, it's one of the biggest history books, Ibn Jarir al-Tabari. From the time of Nabiullah Adam to the time that he lived, he wrote it. Rahimahullahu rahmatan wasi'ah. It was said that every day Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, without exception, without no excuses, he authored 40 pages every day. 40 pages every day. Remember, writing 40 pages means you have to have a draft. You have to know what to take out, Each day he came out with a final edition of 40 pages daily. Rahimahullahu rahmatan wasi'ah. These are our scholars. I want to say to you all, if you can't be like them, then try to imitate them. Imitating the righteous people is an honor. Do something. Benefit from your life. Al-Hakim al-Shahid, rahimahullah, it was said he will not talk to the guests that would come to him and his visitors due to the preoccupation, and that he was busy with writing. Because he was busy with writing, if guests came to him, he wouldn't talk to them. And if he did, he would pass them inks and he would give them pens to sharpen for him. And he would say, sharpen this for me, organize this for me. That's what he would do to them. So he could benefit from his time. And that's the reality. Many people will come to you when you're trying to benefit from your time, and they will try to busy you from it. So he would make even the people who visited him get reward.